Check, check. Howdy, Disco citizens. It's your boy, the Ancient of Mumu, also known as Kilo Echo 4 Lima Alpha Alpha WRCH814 and 013. I'm the Red Baron on the Unpopular Band. I wanted to do a basic video about GMRS for new users or people who you have your license and you're trying to figure it all out, or you may be interested and don't have a license yet. So I would like to give just a basic video to that person. Okay. Um, and some what I'll call deceptive practices by some of the manufacturers that you need to be aware of so that you can enjoy this. All right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to run down the channels, repeaters, codes, frequencies, stuff like that. I'll tell you some of my old man rant gripes and hopefully educate you enough that you can make proper decisions. First off, there is no reason in GMRS to run anything illegally. There's zero reason. Products are available that are licensed and proper, okay, without all this crazy programming, right? And let me explain some things to you. Let me explain it to you. This is a blister pack FRS radio. Okay, this is something I'm not sure if you can actually get this one at Walmart because it is Baofeng. It does work exceptionally well. Okay, so this maxes out 2 watts. The very basic of this is that there are 22 channels. Okay, 22, not 30, not 50. There are 22 channels that you can listen on in using GMRS. So let me grab you and take you over here to the board. You know, any of my subscribers know I am very low tech. I spent 25 years in the tech industry as a systems engineer, and I tried to go as low tech as possible. Raspberry Pi, can you say Raspberry Pi? We're going to start with the channels. There are 22 channels on that little FRS radio, okay? In the world of FRS, channels 1 through 7, all right? These are the frequencies. They're simplex, no repeater involved, right? Are allowed 2 watts. And they're running wide FM, okay? Channels 8 through 14 are FRS only channels, basically. They are running narrow FM. So for you boys programming them in, the first 7, you're programming it into your Baofeng or whatever, the first 7 need to be wide, which I think is 25 kilohertz, I forget. And then these are narrow. So you got 8 through 14, okay? 2 watts here, half a watt here. This is why so many full-on GMRS radios do not allow transmit on 8 through 14 because it's difficult to get a radio that tops out at 5 watts. It's really difficult to turn it all the way down to 0.5 and keep it there reliably. So most of them don't even allow. Midland's a big one. Like a Midland radio, a lot of the Midland radios don't even show these channels, right? So then their channel 8 would be 15 here. So the other side of those, we go back to wide FM again, and these are channels 15 through 22. Channels 15 through 22, that is the output frequencies or the simplex. So you and 2 buddies can get on 462.55 wide FM and chat with each other. You're not limited here so much as 50 watts. 50 watts is a lot of power for a GMRS radio. For a UHF radio, that's a lot of power. It really is. If you can't make the contact with 50 watts, you just can't make the contact. I would suggest going to HF and getting a ham license or doing some CB work. All right, so these channels here, 15 through 22, repeater outputs or for simplex use. Okay, so when you have your radio programmed to any one of your local repeaters, you are listening on this frequency. Okay, when you key up your radio, it changes frequencies. So if you're on channel 15 at 46255 listening, when you key up your radio, the radio is going to jump up 5 megahertz to 46755. When you let go of that button, it switches back to 46255 to listen. Okay? What other people listening to this frequency here, when you talk over here, the people listening to you are listening to you here. Okay? Into the repeater, out of the repeater. And it's real time. It's real time. So, you clap your hands, everybody hears it at once. These frequencies can only be used for repeater inputs. You are not allowed to use them for simplex. Okay? Rules are rules. All right? I'm trying to teach you to be legal. So what you see here, basically, in GMRS, there are 22 channels where you can listen in and talk to people, right? Don't really count those because those are kind of in there. But let's count them. So 22 plus 8 is 30, okay? First misconception and problem that I have with a lot of these companies that sell radios, there are only 30 possible frequencies that you can use with a GMRS license, right? That those 22 and that 8, 22 and 8 is 30, okay? You will see, this is my first warning for the newbie, you will see where they say, oh, this is a 50 channel, this is an 80 channel. I'm not going to wag any fingers. Midland. That's deceptive, okay? It's legal for them to advertise it that way because what they're doing is when you get to channel 22, their channel 23 is most likely channel 1 again, but this time with a CTCSS code attached to it. So it's actually this channel, but they use a code to make it a separate channel. And as long as you buy radios from the same people, it's going to be the same on all their radios. But if you buy radios from someone else, it won't be. We're going to get to that. Okay. So getting into these repeaters are listening on these frequencies. Okay. They have CTCSS, which is continuous tone-coded squelch system, or DCS, which is the digital coded squelch. Okay. Let me explain squelch, and I think the easiest way to do that is just to go to a radio where squelch is a thing. All right. So my squelch is turned up way high. So the only way I'm going to hear anybody is if they're really loud or really close. Okay. As I start to turn this down, you'll start to hear people.
We're here in central Wisconsin. There.
If you turn it all the way down and you're on a channel where there's like really not much going on, right? We hear nothing. So we turn that squelch up until the static goes away. The squelch is now on. Okay. Now, what if we had a code to automatically go? That's what CTCSS codes are. Think of them as keys to the door. So each one of these input frequencies on a repeater is a door. You need a key to unlock it. That's what the CTCSS is. All right. In a simplex situation on one of these channels, you can do CTCSS codes on your channel. Make sure you're spitting them out. And then anybody that's on your channel, their squelch will only open if the key is there. Right? You can turn the receive completely off, and you will hear anybody who transmits on that channel with or without the code. So don't fall for, oh, that's privacy tones. No, you are not private, my friend. Guarantee you that. We're going to look at Another deceptive practice that I've seen recently, talking to a bunch of guys on my local repeater. So this is I use mine as an example. This is a Retevis. You'll see these in a lot of businesses. Okay, technically that is a GMRS radio. Okay, and it might be a bad example because I know they're aiming them at businesses, but that is a GMRS radio. So it has channels, and you change the channels, and you got 22 channels on this radio. However, no, you don't. Okay, so here's your problem. You buy a radio like this, and you try to key it up to hit a radio like that. You're both on channel, we'll say 6. It won't work. Why? Why won't it work? Because this radio has its channels CTCSS and some DCS codes pre-programmed into every channel, meaning that the squelch won't break on this radio unless it's getting those codes, which is fine and dandy if you keep buying Retevis radios. Sure, they'll all work. Yeah, not a problem. But then when you go to buy one of these, it won't. They're the same radio, okay? It won't, and the reason why is it has the codes built in. Now, I know it's a way of getting more money. Hey, you bought our Rocky Talkie or whatever radio that has CTCSS codes turned on by default. If you want radios that are compatible with our radios, then just buy more of our radios. I get it. Capitalism for the win. Okay, but it hurts the hobby. Okay, it really hurts the hobby. Let me show you what this Retevis has programmed in. All right. So channel 1, 462, 5625. Okay. Channels 1 through 5 on this radio are in order, 1 through 5. Okay. But each channel has a CTCSS tone pre-programmed into it. 67, 118, 127, 131, and 136, right? So if you want to make another radio work with this, you need to make sure you have those same tones plugged into the same channels. Otherwise, it isn't going to work. It might work one way, but it won't work the other. Here's what goes weird, though. When you get to channel 6 on this Retevis, it's actually channel 18 with a digital coded squelch. Right? Channel 7 is actually channel 22. What? Do you guys not know your numbers? I thought we learned that in elementary school. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on up to 22. Okay? Why? And this is where the rant goes down the rabbit hole. GMRS is absolutely a wonderful way to communicate with folks. Whether that be in an emergency or you're just out having fun. Safety comes to mind big time, especially if you're out hunting. GMRS radios are gold. They're worth their money in gold out hunting. Shouldn't we be able to buy any off-the-shelf radio and it is wide open with no CTCSS, no DCS pre-programmed from any manufacturer we want? And if both radios are on channel 3 and you key them up, they should be able to talk to each other both ways. I mean, that should be the way it is. And if it is that way, this is my plea to Retevis and Rocky Talkie and Midland and all that. There's a couple things that need to happen. One is stop claiming you have more channels than there are. You don't. Okay? That's deceptive. And to a newbie who might be interested in GMRS, they're going to see that blister pack at Walmart, 50 channels, not repeater capable though. And then they're going to get their license and they're going to be, man, this is boring. right? They don't buy any more radios. Hook somebody on your radios, I promise you, they'll keep buying them. I mean, they'll keep buying them. I got a whole bunch of GMRS radios over here, including the big base station behind me. Let's send them blank, 22 channels, 5 repeater channels. You can add 5 or 10 more, but don't say you have 50 channels. Say you have 50 memories, 50 memory slots. That's more truthful. Every radio should be able to talk to each other. I think that's a freedom we should all have. It helps in emergencies. I mean, imagine hunting, okay? You're a group of guys and you're hunting and you're using your GMRS and you're on channel, we'll just say 22. There's no repeaters anywhere around. You're on 22 and you're all talking to each other and you're using CTCSS tones, right? That you don't know you're using because they came pre-programmed into your radios. There's another group, a couple clicks away, and they're using GMRS radios from, they're all licensed, using their radios from another company, using different channels, different CTCSS codes. How is it safe for the two of your groups to be out there and not be able to realize that the other group is there? Right? So you don't use the privacy codes. They should be open. So the guys that are in the first group, if they scan the channels, scan the band, they'll hear the other group and they'll know they're out there and they'll know where they're at, and that provides safety. In a family emergency and you need them, you get separated at a theme park, right? Radio to radio, and you find someone, you get separated at a theme park and your dad's got a GMRS radio, and you find somebody at the theme park that happens to have a GMRS radio, and you're like, hey, my dad has one and I can't find him, right? He's on channel 14. Turn on channel 14, keys up the radio. Dad never hears him because dad's radio has a DCS code preset into it, right? So manufacturers, please stop doing that. It should be easy. It should be easy. Another way to make it easy, a lot of manufacturers out there that don't actually put up the CTCSS or the DCS code on screen. You need a manual. So anytime you want to change the code on one of those channels, you need to pull up the manual and go, okay, what code are we using? Okay, we're using 103.5, right? Okay, so 103.5 is code number 21. And then you go in the radio and do code 21. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. A 5-cent change in that LCD and a couple lines of code, and instead of code 23, which would be different on another brand radio's code 23, it would end up being a different code, most likely. It should be on the display. If you're using CTCSS or DCS, every time you key up that radio, it should show. And I'm not aware of many even professional radios that do that. I think GMRS has a big potential to grow. More people on it. I really do. But there are some hurdles to a newbie. Coming from a ham background or a CB background or any kind of professional communications background, you go into this hobby and you know all the CTCSS and DCS. A lot of people that are new to the hobby are still confused about how they work. Okay? Someone that is brand new coming into the hobby can easily be disappointed if this isn't changed. The way channels work, I will shout out Midland. I have other problems with you, Midland, but that's a whole other topic. But Midland radios, Rocky Talkie, that's the display you should have. Instead of seeing the frequency, you should see it is channel 5. It is channel 22 repeater, or it's, the second version of channel 22 repeater, because you have 2 repeaters that you use that are on the same channel, but they have different CTCSS codes. So you got one channel with one code and one channel for another. Programmable from the radio. No more of this chirp crap. No. This should be easy for anyone. Anyone old enough to remember CB in the old days when we only had 23 channels? You get what I mean. Physical switches, physical buttons, physical knobs. Do that. And I know electronically it would be a lot easier on them to do that. I know it would make this hobby explode overnight, because at that point anybody can get the license and use the radio. My biggest thing is for everyone should be able to have fun. Everyone, there's plenty of channels, there's plenty of space. CB started with 23, now it's 40. Depends on who you talk to if it's 40. There are A channels and there are free band channels, we'll just say. But it should be that simple. We're on the same channel, not we're on 462.7125. No, we're on the same channel. I hear the guys talk about the repeaters all the time. It's the 6.0 repeater. Funny thing is in my community, I live in a very flat county, and right in the center of the county, there's this huge tower. I don't know how tall it is, but it's big. And you gotta remember, everything's flat here because we're right along the coastline. And there's a GMRS repeater there that covers literally the entire county and into a little bit into the next counties over, right? It's on channel 19. That's pretty funny from a CB perspective. But most of the GMRS users don't know that, I'm hearing. Most of them just know their frequencies. They got that Mars modded Yaesu or whatever, and they're only doing, the actual frequencies. And they're only using 15 through 22. Why? There you got a whole bunch more you can use, and you use it for different things. Like small businesses, I would recommend staying in that 8 to 14 on the FRS. A half a watt is more than enough to cover a small warehouse. Okay. Depends on how many metal shells you have. Blister pack radios at Walmart, most of them are perfectly fine. What you want to look for in those is it repeater capable? Most of them won't be. There are some out there. Midland makes one. Motorola makes a couple of them, I believe now. Motorola's got some good radios too, but bring your wallet. This could be fun. Let's make it fun. All right. I want you to be on the air today, and I want you to just be kind to strangers for no reason. No reason. I think at the end of the day, you'll feel that you feel better. Love each other. Be nice to each other. Respect each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or share. I don't expect anybody to ring my bell. That may be my wife. Just be good. Okay, guys? Thanks. If you got any questions, put them in the comments below and I'm happy to answer. All right? 73s.